Hello, this is Remanian, and I hope you're having a great day. I was asked about Quickbars, and while those settings are mostly just personal preference, I might be able to give you some tips and ideas. So let's just jump right in. This is how your action bar looks like if you're just starting out, and if it's a new character you'll only have 3 or 4 abilities in there. As a new player that might even be enough, because it will be some time before you get all your abilities, but personally I like to organize my action bars from the start and then just fill in the abilities when I get them. So how do you customize your action bars? So what I'm going to show here is how it looks for a sub, but even as a free-to-play you have a lot of customization options. Start out by clicking on this icon here, and in my case you can see there are some settings saved already. Those are individual settings that I created at some point or other. But there are also some preset builds that can be useful. You have here the advanced, the extended Quickbars, the retro, enhanced and default setting. And even if you're not 100% happy with them, they might be a good point to start out. Here for example, you already have all 6 available Quickbars enabled, so that might be a good starting point. Now we go to the interface editor, and you can already see at first glance this is highly customizable. The first thing you see are the general settings, and you can start out right away with the scale for all your UI elements. That means Quickbars and group frames and cast bars and map, everything. And it also affects how big your chat window will be displayed. So you might want to start out with the general scale, depending on the size and resolution of your monitor, and again your personal preference. Personally, I don't want my Quickbars to take up too much of my screen because I want to see more of what's going on around me. Then you can adjust the size of the grid. That can help you align your Quickbars, but it's not really necessary to adjust anything there. You can just leave it at the standard setting. And now you can get a little help with the alignment of the modules by enabling Snap to Grid. Again, something that's not necessary to customize your UI, but it can help you with the alignment. It just means that the interface editor will try to align the modules you're dragging with the grid. They will snap to the grid lines if you let them, but it's still easy to ignore the grid and drag your Quickbar elsewhere if you don't want it at that particular grid line. We've already changed the general size, but you can change the scale of each UI element individually. You can even have differently sized Quickbars if you like. You can just use those sliders to adjust the size to your personal preference. And you don't need all of them enabled. For a cleaner look and a less cluttered interface, use only as many action bars as you actually need. You can enable or disable individual UI elements by ticking or unticking this enabled checkbox. If you haven't fiddled with your UI yet, you might notice there are some things enabled that you might not need and some things disabled that you might want to have. Red means it's currently disabled, green means it's enabled, blue means those elements are enabled, but they aren't showing all the time, only when they get activated. For example, system messages. Also, the group frames, they aren't visible all the time, only when you are in group of course, and that's why they are shown in blue here. And there are some other neat things you can do with your Quickbars. You can change the alpha, meaning they become semi-transparent, and depending on your alpha settings, they might be barely visible. You can choose how many slots per row your Quickbars should have. There are a maximum of 12 slots per Quickbar, so if you have 12 slots per row, you have a horizontal Quickbar, and if you have 1 slot per row, you have a vertical Quickbar. It also means that you can make all sorts of different blocks with one Quickbar. That's why they chose 12 slots, because you can divide that evenly by 6, 4, 3 and 2 and create nice blocks with slots distributed evenly. But of course you can also have, say, 7 slots per row. If you want 7 in the first and 5 in the second row for whichever reason, it's all up to you. And you don't have to have 12 slots per Quickbar. Maybe you want a Quickbar for your emergency abilities or self-heals or med packs, and you need only 3 for that. You can do that. Just choose the number of slots. And you can have your emergency Quickbar and you can scale it up because it's so very important, and you can place it in the middle of the screen. All up to you. You can place it wherever you like, in whatever size you like, in whatever transparency you like, with how many slots you like, in whatever kind of order you like. So you can already see the options are endless. And that goes not only for the Quickbars, but also for other UI elements like the Minimap. You don't have to have it in the lower right corner. I've seen people's UIs with the Minimap right on top of the middle of the screen. That would drive me crazy, but why not? It's your UI, you place your elements wherever you want them. Now this here is an important bar for temporary abilities. It's the one that activates when you use Heroic Moment, when you use a turret, walker, or something in game that gives you some temporary, out of the ordinary abilities. Personally, I keep it here above my regular Quickbars, then I can't miss it when it pops up, and it's not obstructed by other UI elements. Another really important one, your focus target. It enables you to keep an eye on this target even when you're currently targeting something else. Very useful for boss fights, especially the ones where two bosses have to go down at the same time. Also very useful, target off target. Means you can see what your current target is targeting. You can also enable a cast bar for your target's target. Here, player buff and debuff tray. Very useful, very important. Again, you can change the scale, you can change the placement, you can change how the buffs or debuffs should align, and how many there should be per row. Now, since the 7.0 Legacy of the Sith expansion, you don't need your buff tray that much anymore. Your class buffs, at least the ones available to you and your group, get applied automatically, so you don't have to have an eye on when they are going to run out anymore. It can still be useful to have the buff tray enabled though, because your mounts, pets and effects like the snowflakes will be displayed as a buff too. You can just make the buffs very small, like I do. I'm usually not too interested in the buffs. What I want to display really big are the debuffs, because that's what I might have to do something about. Also helpful, especially as a healer, or anyone who cares about cleansing their group's debuffs, is using raid frames at all times instead of group frames. You can set that in Preferences, User Interface, Operation Frames, use Operation Frames as group frames. That also gives you the option to display only cleansable debuffs, which means you're not wasting your cleanse ability on things you can't do anything about. Now here the combat state is that red icon that appears whenever you're in combat. It's not necessary to have that. If your portrait turning red and battle sounds aren't telling you that you're in combat, this icon won't either. But I like it. Again, very much personal preference. And here are social notifications. That's the game telling you when one of your friends comes online. Over here you have your mission tracker. It's really helpful, not only as a reminder of which missions you want to do, but also because there are interactable icons in the mission tracker. The teleporters to heroic missions or uprising, or the scanners you use in certain quests for example. I'd just recommend to make sure it doesn't overlap with your action bars if you have sidebars. And lastly, you can place your tooltips, if you display them at all, wherever you want. If you don't want them where they are, you have to disable Snap to Minimap though. So that's some of the things you can do with your UI. From here on, it's all up to you how you want to customize your action bars. Just giving you some more ideas maybe, what you can put in there or how to organize it. For example, you could have an action bar for all your healing abilities. And if you're not a healer, you could still have a dedicated quick bar for your self-heal, med packs, stims and adrenals. You could have a quick bar for your defensive and evasive abilities, like shields, or how to get out of things quickly. On my sidebars, I like to have the abilities that I don't use in combat, but that I want to have quickly available. That's my out of combat regeneration, the rocket boost, the quick travel, target markers, my favorite toys or mounts. And you can also place usable quest items in there. And another thing I like to have in my sidebar is the sprint ability. Sometimes it gets turned off, and having it in my quickbar enables me to see if it's active or not without having to search through my abilities. And you can place those quickbars wherever you like them. Personally, I have this weird block in the middle of my screen for most of my healing abilities. It would probably drive most people crazy, and it doesn't look very clean, but I like it that way. So go crazy on customizing and find the best layout for yourself. And of course, once you're happy with your UI, remember to save it. I hope I could help you a bit finding your way around the many options to customize your UI. Thanks for watching, and let me know if there are any other questions you'd like me to answer in a video.